Hello, in this video we discuss how to update catalogs in HAprePT after we relinked the tool with the data sources. There are two types of data supply mechanisms. One is more dynamic, so you just need to reconnect tool with external data source, and then every time the tool needs data, it looks outside of access and gets data from the external file. So the file can be replaced, external file, anytime, but you don't need to do anything else, but access will extract this data from new file. If it has same name, it's in the right folder without any additional inputs. This is basic and default mode of getting data from linked files. There is another method where we physically bring data into the tool. So it needs to be linked to something when we get it, when we import, but afterwards this data is stored inside. And usually we need to do it in two cases. In one case, when we have to process huge data set, let's say consisting of millions of records. So when we need to do a lot of transformation of this file inside of access, it's quite takes a lot of resources access to read a million of records outside, which are physically outside of access, and make different manipulations. So instead of that, we import the data, we process it and save inside. So we don't save all million records, but once we do this heavy exercise, we make it compact several, maybe 10,000 of records, and we keep it inside of access. This, for instance, what we do with universal health, whatever we have a health coverage program, where we store the data from so-called DRG data, case-based data. We process it, we map it, and we transform millions of records into 10,000 of records, and that's it. So this is one reason why we need to, and better to import it before we code it finally and get it ready for HAPT. Second type of data we usually import is the data we use for mapping. We call them usually catalogs. For instance, data on healthcare providers. So we keep healthcare provider catalog inside. We update it, we modify something, but everything happens inside. And why we need to update it is that every year we may get a new healthcare providers, and this renewed list of healthcare providers is in external files. So we need to get it, we need to import it, and then we keep it inside. Or it's same about some other types of data, like it can be catalogs. So to understand this, let's do it practically. So we said we have this module which says how we can relink. Let's run it. We just did. I just redesigned this module completely. So here is my link data, I think, to GEO. Yes. So I confirm selection, and then I can run relink. Yes. Do you prefer not to receive? This case, I say let me receive error, but I don't think there will be any errors. So it runs now smoothly, and even percentages here are correct. So what we do now, we relink our tool with external data. And what we did new is that, let me show, we said, okay, this time we don't need to relink to all data we use, because this time for 2019 we don't use all external data sources. And what we do instead, you see that it takes time to relink to DRG database, which is in Excel. It's very compact. It's not 1 gigabyte as it was a year ago, but it still takes time. So it's quite difficult for Access to work with external files. So now it says 17 files were all successfully imported, so it doesn't show any error. And just if we want to see what are these files, what we selected here are 17. We selected this one, the files we want to relink every time now. So which you see in red, these are files we don't use as an external source because we have some alternative. It's discussed in another video, so I will not take your time here. And if we want to see actual Access link manager, we can open it, but it's not needed now. You see, it still remembers linked files, but they have address of GEO 2020 because it was last year exercise, but we don't use them now, so let's keep it. And let's move now to renewal. Here in Georgian it means renewal, განაახლება, or import. So what does it mean renewal? So here we have a list of catalogs which we need some of them to renew. We don't need to renew it every year. For instance, if we don't change any coding in this classification of FSRI, HF, FA, HP disease in HAPT, we don't need to bring them again. Why we're bringing them? Why we don't bring, for instance, FS? There's interesting story here that, for a very stupid reason to me, HAPT requires if you export data, if you code HK, HCR, HKR, it takes and allows to map with only 2 digits or 3 digits of code, and therefore you cannot use FSRI or HF code fully. So you needed amputed coding, and then we need to import this because otherwise it's very difficult to prepare these files. Other like FS is not used in other type of accounts, so FS is used as a linked one, and we don't import it. So you see, it's a multi-level, and multi-level means that it's not just a list of one column, but it shows that okay, we want 2-digit levels, 3-digit level. It has different lists, let's say, to be used during exporting. So the main point is that there are few files which actually we need to import. Originally, when we created the system, we imported and renewed the catalog of typology of healthcare providers and healthcare providers. Now we don't need to do so. So we even change here this catalog. So we cannot, it cannot be anymore imported, updated, because we do this everything here manually. We take unknown, new, and we edit it here, so it's no anymore bulk import. So we have in total a lot of 907 legal persons, and then several thousand maybe the clinics or different versions of the names. Anyway, so what I'm saying that let's go back. So we don't go to start and to renewal. We don't use ICD converter to disease because it's quite static, and I don't think we have changed anything there, although maybe when we add COVID for 2020 we will update this catalog. So we skip these two, and now we come to the main one, and these are program component catalog, and it should update program components, and the most important one are these catalogs. So DRG control, because it takes DRG data and update the main catalog of DRG data, and these are universal inpatient care. So we have 03 are all data related to universal case-based dataset, universal healthcare program. So what we do, let's do this one. This is most heaviest one. You can see when we select it, it asks us. So we can click here, update selected catalog, but you see here is the mark. Usually this is locked because this parameter shouldn't be changed. And what it does is that it deletes everything stored and refresh completely, so renews this table inside. This is different from others, maybe, because sometimes we need to just add new records, but this time we need to delete what is inside and make it new. So I can press it, update selected catalog, and it definitely takes time. And then you will notice that on the right side, while it's working, we have time. It tells us, actually, it told us that the last time it was renewed, it was 24th of August of 2020. You see it here. And then here is also this box where we see which catalog was renewed, refreshed recently. So we see this was imported and updated successfully, and now this shows up here. It's the same. We see it's a new one, and we can also update this one. Let me update selected catalog. And you see 04, let's take time. Okay. So there's a problem in importing it. We will check it, what is wrong with that. Maybe there is some mismatch in data structure. Central budget programs. I don't think we need to update them because now the tool handles it on its own. So if you can see, I removed here in query. So this is an actually action query which does this action, so takes this action. Here, when we select it, it has APPP, that's a prefix, and here it's nothing, which means that we actually don't use it. So most likely we will abolish these records there and make it more simple, because we don't need any more central budget programs to be imported. We have different arrangements here, which helps us to handle these programs and link them. I think these are here in catalog, these programs, you see. So we do it now here, not anymore from here. It was very simple before, but we found that it doesn't work anymore. So this one, I think, contains all important data, but I will make sure that inpatient care, or DRG healthcare provider list is updated. But I think it's already did, because if we go to providers and click on unknown one, we already have it. So I guess this is not anymore needed. So I also need to suspend this procedure. So I will do it like this and lock the records. I think that's one element just I forgot to explain. And while then you load everything, we can work on preparing the data for export. And the final one, Lela asked, where do we have the control? We have a lot of control sources here, which let us check whether expenditures we imported, exported, match each other. I think we will come to that once again, when we go through all these buttons, you see here are the numbers, and we have not yet prepared the export file, so it may be early to say what we lost and what we did not. But actually, this is quite valuable element. I think these buttons are now referring not to correct forms, but we will make sure that I will restore links to all unnecessary forms. This sometimes happens in Access, that these buttons lose their reference. So instead of opening form A, they may be opened from B. Anyway, we'll come to data quality check parameters later, but I want to make sure that we are aware. And you see here, I just wanted to show, and we will have a different video, but if I bring this folder here, it is about let me show. Well, this is 2020 interim outputs, and Lela, if you look here in interim outputs, it has a lot of really internal products which are produced automatically by the software. So these files help us to understand what we had externally, what we imported, what we get out, but we'll come to that later. Let's first start producing the to the production of export files and to work in the HAPT. I think this is all for now, and I wish you pleasant experience with the software, and I'm sure it will be interesting experience to all of you. Thank you. Goodbye.